episode of the Beginning Saxophonist, buying your first saxophone. Alright, so I know that a lot of beginner saxophone players and parents whose kids are going into band for the first time have a lot of questions about buying a saxophone. It can be really intimidating at first, especially if parents don't have any experience playing instruments themselves. They don't really know where they're supposed to buy an instrument. A big mistake that a lot of people make starting out is going right to Amazon. They might be used to just buying just about everything on Amazon. Don't buy a saxophone on Amazon. Just don't do it. Not a good idea. They're generally extremely low quality. So a lot of the big brands that pop up when you search saxophone on Amazon, Mendini, John Paul, they're very cheaply made. They're really no good. I had a student who was playing an Amazon saxophone. It sounded like a duck. There's like no way to make these instruments sound decent. I mean, maybe a professional could, but yeah, it's not great. The other problem with a lot of these Amazon saxophones is that repair shops won't take them. So if something breaks, and something will break probably within the first couple months because they're cheaply made, repair shops won't take them because it's going to cost more to repair it than the instrument is worth. So anyway, end of rant. No Amazon saxophones. Just don't do it. The other thing that a lot of people, when they're first buying a saxophone, they don't realize is just what a saxophone costs. So that's why when people look on Amazon or Craigslist or wherever and they find a saxophone for $200, they're like, oh, that seems reasonable, okay. An average cost of a saxophone is more like $2,000. A new student instrument is closer to $2,000 and up. Pro horns will run you usually over $3,000. They're expensive. The metal's expensive. It's expensive to put them together. They're complicated instruments, so they do cost a lot more than a lot of instruments. So that's important to know when you're looking at a Mendini that costs $200 on Amazon compared to a Yamaha that costs upward of $2,000. That's a big difference, and that's a big difference in quality. So that's really important to take note of and just to know. Okay, so in addition to avoiding Amazon, try to avoid eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. The reason for that is you really don't know what you're getting, and there could be a lot wrong with the instrument that you won't know, and even the person selling it might not know. They might not know that there's a lot wrong with it if they're not, maybe they haven't played the instrument, maybe they're just selling it because it was in the family or whatever. So yeah, you're kind of taking a risk there. More pro players, it's not such a big deal if you're buying from somebody because you can test out the instrument, but with a beginner, you don't know how to play the instrument yet, so it's kind of hard to test it out. So yeah, avoid eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. So yeah. Alright, so what you should do when you're buying an instrument, go to a music store. That's really the one good place that you can go as a beginner to buy an instrument. Go to a music store. They're gonna be able to walk you through a lot of different options, and most of the instruments that they'll have available at music stores are gonna be good options. They don't sell generally really cheap instruments at music stores. Also, if cost is a concern, you can ask about buying used instruments. A lot of music stores do sell used instruments, so that's always an option. A lot of music stores have rent-to-own options, so that's another great option to do. I know a lot of people rent to own when they're starting, because they don't know if their son or daughter is going to stick with it. So yeah, that's always a great option. As for brand recommendations, like I said, just about anything a music store is gonna sell is gonna be a good option. And usually the workers at music stores aren't gonna steer you wrong. They're usually very qualified and know what they're talking about with the instruments. But I do have one recommendation. I've found that Yamaha, I'm not being endorsed by them. I'm not sponsored by Yamaha. I found that Yamaha is generally the best quality student instruments. They're all around like in tune, good quality student instruments. So you can't go wrong with Yamaha. They can be a little pricier, so there's that. But yeah, Yamaha's good, Jupiter's good. There's a lot of good brands for student instruments. I would avoid Bundy. I don't even think they sell new Bundys. You might be able to find a used one. I'm not even really sure. They're generally not great. And then anything brightly colored. Stay away from blue saxophones and green and whatever. Anything brightly colored is going to be really cheap and awful, and it's going to break right away. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I know the kids love them. Don't do it. Alright, so other things that you're going to need. A swab is very important for running through your saxophone after each time you play. A silk swab is preferable because it soaks up all of that moisture, but it doesn't get stuck in the saxophone like a lot of cotton swabs. So yeah, silk swabs are great. They can fit through the mouthpiece and the neck, and that's really important because you need to swab out the neck and the mouthpiece of the saxophone too. So yeah, silk swab is great. You need cork grease. That's a little tube, chapstick looking tube that you put on, you put grease on the cork to put the mouthpiece on. And we'll talk about all these terms in the next video. But anyway, no, you need some cork grease, you need a swab, you need a neck strap. Neck strap should be padded. There sometimes are non-padded neck straps that come with beginner kits or sets. Find a padded one. Neotech is generally a good brand. They're, you know, pretty affordable. So yeah, neck strap is good, and then you need reeds. Usually a good brand to start for as a beginner would be Rico. They're pretty middle of the road reeds, cheaper than, like, Van Doren is a great brand of reeds, but they are a bit more expensive than Rico's, and especially like kids starting out tend to break a lot of reeds, so going a little inexpensive at first is a good option. And then for strength, usually recommend beginners start at maybe a 2. Probably Rico Strength 2 would be a pretty good bet, maybe 2.5, just kind of depending. It all depends on the mouthpiece you're using, and usually beginner mouthpieces, or the mouthpieces, like the stock option that comes with the horn, is usually gonna be about right for like a 2.5 strength reed. Alright, and then just a note on beginner kits that sometimes come like with the horn. You want to check out what's in that before you just leave the music store, because a lot of those beginner kits are not great. Usually the swab is just terrible and it gets stuck in the saxophone, and it's just a whole thing. If the swab is like really thick and cottony looking, just, yeah, not good. Just get a silk one. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble, especially like kids get those stuck in their saxophone all the time. So yeah, do yourself a favor, get a silk swab instead. A lot of times in these beginner kits, the neck strap isn't padded. I've had students with an unpadded neck strap and they just don't want to wear it. Like, their neck hurts. They hate it. So yeah, get a padded neck strap. So anyway, yeah, you always want to, like, cork grease is something you really can't go wrong with, so that's, you know, gonna be fine. But yeah, with those neck straps and swabs, like, just, you know, check it out, see what you're getting. Oh, and then a quick note on pad savers. So these are, it's a long fuzzy thing that will be like shoved in the saxophone. Some people call it like a shove it. I don't know what the exact name for it is, but don't, not good at all. They're horrible. They trap the moisture in the saxophone. Don't get a pad saver. A lot of repair shops, if they find a pad saver in a saxophone, they'll actually throw it away because they're bad for the saxophone. They're marketed as like a swab, but also something to like keep the pads safe or something, but it just shoves all the moisture in there and keeps it in there, and that wrecks the pads. So yeah, definitely don't buy one of those, and if one of them just comes with the saxophone, just get rid of it. They're not great. All right, so I know that was a lot of information to throw at you, but yeah, it's all important stuff to know when you're buying a saxophone. So I hope that gave you a good place to start, some good tips for buying your first saxophone. Be sure to like and subscribe so that you know when I have new videos out. All right, see you on the next episode.